got the melting portion off of the grease that was on the hood.
So
And
you
then,
had to melt the grease
oh, you had to get
off.
something hot enough to cut through that, and then putting things down to catch all the stuff that was coming down, so you wouldn't have to re-clean the stove process. It was a pretty involved process.
Wow.
Change is inevitable. Like every success happens because you changed something and you it was a fear that was within you.
Motivation only lasts for a short amount of time, but discipline is what carries you forward.
I can't do this on my own, period.
Are you looking at your business in terms of emotion, or are you looking at your business in terms of what's practical?
I still believe that America is the best country in the world. Where can a kid of immigrants with no education become a physician?
This is Small Business Celebration, where we're celebrating small businesses for big breakthroughs.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of Small Business Celebration. We're going to be talking about, do you really need social media to drive growth in your business? And we're also going to be talking about reaching businesses who prioritize confidentiality and how do you collaborate with them. And also we're playing the Visioneer game. And if you've been a long-time watcher, you know the game well, but now we're making a change where you too can also play the Visioneer game as well. And to help us navigate through all this is Lloyd Nelson, the owner of Down Janitorial Incorporated. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thank you for having me.
For Visioneers who don't know who you are, who are you and what is it that you do?
I am Lloyd Nelson, the owner of Down Janitorial Incorporated, and based here in Paso Robles.
Yes, Visioneers, we have left the confines of Bakersfield and we ventured out to the coast of Paso Robles. And what brought you here to Paso Robles? Because you're not a native. You came from
Southern California.
Oh.
I came up from San Bernardino area. And,
Okay.
originally I came up to San Luis Obispo and attended Cal Poly and graduated in '85 from Cal Poly in the business program there, and was recruited to play football at Cal Poly. So that was what brought me to the Central Coast initially.
What did you do prior to opening your business?
Oh, many things. I dabbled in the sales of office equipment.
Okay.
I've done construction work, worked in the Department of Corrections, many different aspects of work.
It sounds like it's a real swing of things. Everything from the free market enterprise to working for the government, and you've seen a lot of different ways of doing things. But why did you go into the janitorial business?
That's an interesting question. I have a very good friend. His name is Kenny Goins,
Yeah.
and he runs a company, Clean by Design.
Okay.
And he initially approached me from our youth friendships, and he
Right.
says, "Hey, Lloyd, I'd like you to get involved with what I do and manage what," and that kind of led me into the janitorial industry.
Right.
And then from there, I branched into my own and created Down Janitorial with the help of my wife.
How did things change when you came to that very fateful Friday where you realized you had more month than money and payroll was due?
How do things change? No, it just makes you aware to not outgrow your resources. And people think that, oh, I got to get bigger. I want to make sure I'm bigger and growing and expanding. But there's a pace to it.
Right.
It's like the beat of your heart. You don't want to outpace what you're capable of supplying with great quality, or you find yourself unable to perform in the manner that you wanted
Right.
because you don't have the employees in place or you don't have the infrastructure in place to handle bigger jobs. And that's a learning process too.
You're not only in Paso Robles, but you're also in what other cities here?
Santa Maria, which is south of us,
Right.
to King City, which is a bit north of us.
Right.
So we cover all of that field as well as the coast, from Morro Bay and Cambria and Cayucas and the like.
One of the things that's also important is being able to adjust the services you provide.
Well, that's interesting because there are niches to each type of janitorial.
Right.
There's construction cleans, and then you can clean homes.
Right.
You could do Airbnbs.
Right.
You can focus on one specific type of commercial, or you can generalize and do commercial. And when I initially started, I was involved with all aspects. I would do construction cleans, I would do houses, I would do move-in, move-outs,
Right.
Airbnbs, and then I did commercial. And as I learned and grew, I tailored and specialized my services more to commercial.
Really?
And I do commercial, primarily janitorial, of course for friends and people with specific things I may make an exception, but my niche is commercial janitorial, from schools to churches to office complexes to
Right.
wineries to things of that nature that take me out of the home setting,
Right.
but put me into the business setting, which is how I was so fortunate to become involved with PRIAC and the Paso Robles Youth Arts Center and all they're doing.
And Visioneers, since you're watching this on YouTube, you probably have been wondering what's with all the musical instruments. And where are we?
We are at the Paso Robles Youth Arts Center here in Paso Robles, and their acronym is PRIAC.
And why are we here specifically today?
I wanted to make sure that I presented one of the businesses that I do so they could showcase how important they are in the community and what benefit they give and how giving they are with their time and their effort and how important it is for our youth to be empowered in the way that they allow them to be empowered. And that's why I wanted to use PRIAC as this medium. And not necessarily just a winery, but wineries would be good for that too. But PRIAC seemed to fit that mode a little better.
And to give perspective on the need for a good janitorial service, we have Barbie Wunsch, the Executive Director of the Paso Robles Youth Arts Center. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thank you so much for having me.
For Visioneers who don't know who you are you and what is it that you do?
Hi, I'm Barbie Wunsch. I'm the Executive Director for Paso Robles Youth Arts Center, where we have a mission of enriching lives through the arts.
Is this K through 8? Is this K through 12?
We serve students from 5 years old to 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so-
And what kind of fine arts do you guys typically encourage?
We have all the visual arts covered, and we also have theater program. We have a dance program, do culinary arts, we do different kinds of media arts, music, obviously,
Sure,
we're in
right,
the music
sure,
room,
right.
right? We offer about 40 to 50 classes
Wow.
in over 8-week sessions, and we do 5 sessions per year.
And how many students do you have that attend?
We have about 500 students attending annually. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's important to have a good janitorial service in an environment like this. Why is that?
Well, obviously, we have children ranging from 5 to 18, you know, the sticky hands, we got all of it.
Right.
So, yeah, we need some excellent janitorial service. It's critical because, especially in this day and age with germs and all the different, you know, germs that can transmit when you have a lot of students together, it's
Right.
really important to have a sanitary environment. And also cleanliness is really important for our families so they feel more comfortable here.
Right.
And, you know, we really want to set the scene for a really nice environment for our students. It's really important.
And why did you choose Lloyd and Down Janitorial?
Well, Lloyd is very active in our community. He is very generous with giving to community projects and our community's efforts. He's just an all-around really good guy, and I've known him for many years, and I've been really impressed with him. He offers a really good value with his service. They do a lot of deep cleaning, and they really charge a fair rate. And especially for a nonprofit where
Right.
we have to consider every penny, his company does an excellent job for us.
There's, I've got to say, probably 100 janitorial services on the Central Coast. But what does Lloyd do that sets him apart and makes him special for what you're doing here?
Well, it's nice because Lloyd is available to communicate changes. You know,
sure.
Lloyd is, he answers his phone, you know.
What?
I mean,
What?
he's
Somebody who
super-
answers the phone?
super responsive, and you know, he's able to just customize what works for us. When the budget's tighter, we have to, you know, kind of reduce services a bit, but we haven't noticed any change in the cleanliness. So it's just amazing how he's been able to work with us. And plus, they value add with doing our floors reconditioning and, you know, doing our windows and things like that. So there's definitely a lot to the service that we get from Down Janitorial.
Lloyd, what value beyond your business here do you gain from having and doing business here with Barbie and her art center?
Oh, many, many. I am a father of 3, so I was fortunate to have my daughters participate with PRIAC when they were younger, and I got a chance to see firsthand what benefits PRIAC offers to encouraging youth to be empowered with confidence and learning about things that they may not have reached out to do. So I got a chance to see what the community benefit for PRIAC is firsthand. And that's another reason why I was so wanting to give back and do what I could to help and continue to help them grow and be influential in the community.
If Visioneers, our audience, want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Absolutely. They can reach our website at pryoutharts.org, or you can contact me directly through my email at Barbie, BARBY, .wunsch, WUNSCH, at pryoutharts.org.
And Visioneers, if you don't own a home, you can't have one cleaned. Yes, it's a horrible segue into our Visioneer question, which is sponsored by Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, born, raised, never left Bakersfield. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1 at icloud.com today. And Visioneers, if you've got a question, you've got a thought, something you'd like to learn about here on Small Business Celebration, reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and send us a message. Let us know what you'd like to hear on the program. And you too can have a question just like Joanna, who asked, is it possible for my business to succeed without the need for social media marketing strategies to drive growth?
Absolutely.
Really?
You can succeed because there are other ways to get your name and product out there. Word of mouth is one of the best, but also when you are doing a good job for a client and you ask them specifically, do you know of anyone who has a similar business to yourself that is in need of the type of service we provide? Those contacts are ideal because that person knows that person probably pretty well, and they have a visual reference that they can come to that business and say, oh, these guys do a good job. I like what they're doing. But social media is important. It's not that it's not necessary, it's just not only required. You can do it other ways too.
Sure. Every business owner has had a project that either went sideways on them or they did not see coming. Have you ever found like a dead body in a wall somewhere when you're cleaning? Or have you ever had something interesting along those lines?
Nothing that dramatic.
Okay.
I've never had anything like that. But when you're dealing with different cleans, sometimes when you're dealing with restaurants, if you're unfamiliar with the type of cleans that come with restaurants and you don't know that that amount of grease is going to be necessarily for you to remove, you might not have all of the right products available for you. So you learn as you go. And that was a learning process for me, being involved with cleaning restaurants at the time. And first getting involved with it, you don't realize, oh, you need a specific tools to get rid of this amount of grease.
How did you deal with it?
Well, what I did was I called someone who was familiar. And
Well, first of all, describe for us the scene. Describe what happened.
An enormous amount of grease on the hood, which can be a fire hazard when cooking. An enormous amount of.
What did it look like?
Oh, it looked like it was coated. The color had changed. You didn't even realize that there was aluminum underneath that.
Oh, wow.
And then your amount of grease behind the stove and grill areas and on the floor, very, very hazardous to stand on because it was unsafe to be on it. So when you don't have the right products to clean that, you go, oh my goodness.
What color was the grease?
It was brown and green.
Oh. Oh no! It wasn't that beautiful golden color in like the vegetable bottle that you get at the grocery store.
No, this had been there for a while. But that's what you learn, as you start experiencing different cleans. You start, oh, okay, I might need to enlist the help of someone who knows what they're doing.
How did you clean this mess?
It took probably 2 days of going back. We scraped it. We ended up having to scrape it and move equipment out and making sure we went and bought, I believe they had a steamer type unit that got the melting portion off of the grease that was on the hood.
So
And
you
then-
had to melt the grease?
Oh, you had to get
off-
something hot enough to cut through that, and then putting things down to catch all the stuff that was coming down, so you wouldn't have to re-clean the stove process. It was a pretty involved process.
Wow. And what did you do with the tarp or all that once the grease had come down on top of it?
Well, we had to make sure that we disposed of that properly and asked them, do they have a facility? And they did. They had a place where we could put it in the back that they disposed of their grease in a certain way.
Wow.
And they had a company that came and picked it up, so it made it a little easier for us. So it was a time-consuming process.
Right. And that brings us to the Visioneer game. Now, Visioneers, if you're not familiar with the way the game works, I've got a random word generator here on my phone that randomly picks 3 words out of thin air, in which our guest has to take one at a time and somehow apply that word to his business.
All right.
And Visioneers, you too can also play the Visioneer game. Simply take any one of the 3 words that Lloyd is going to take here, go ahead and put it in the comments section on how it relates to your business, and make sure you put the name of your business with your comment. Along with Lloyd, you do realize the fate of the entire civilized world is on your shoulders.
Oh my goodness.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, your very first word is rule. R-U-L-E, rule.
In my business, I guess one rule would be never judge a book by the cover.
Okay.
Because you cannot tell who's going to be the best employee for you by the look.
Nice. I would also guess that would also be true with businesses, because you could have one person that shows up with a business that's small and looks like a closet, and you have no idea that person has 27 locations.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Have you ever run into that?
I have, and part of doing janitorial is you would love to get chains, and the chains can be, maybe they have an office in Santa Maria and in Morro Bay and in Grover Beach and in Paso and in Tascadero and San Luis, but for initially when you see the business, it doesn't look big enough for them to have that many locations. So you never judge a book by the cover.
Well, congratulations, you got the first word correct. Well done, you. Are you ready for the second one?
Let's hear it.
Permanent.
Permanent. There is nothing permanent. In top-down janitorial, you learn that right away.
How
that
so?
people are always trying to save money and cut corners and cut costs and be effective. And so you don't look for permanence. As much longevity as you can get, yes, but permanence, no, there's nothing permanent. Everybody is always looking to up the ante.
Congratulations, that's word number 2. Our third word is hallway.
Okay. You can define hallway in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
I found out when you do movie theaters,
Right.
a hallway can be very large. You're thinking in terms of a hallway of a house, and then you go to a movie theater, you find out this is a huge hallway. So I learned a little bit about that.
Is that more than just the distance, the width, the makeup of the hallway?
And the use. Because
Really?
you get 1,000 people walking back and forth on a carpet every day with popcorn, that hallway is a little tougher to clean.
There you go. Was the hallway in the movie theater something that you ran into when you were a sole proprietor?
Yes, at that point I was a sole proprietor. I've been incorporated since 2023.
Right.
And I started this business about 2017.
Right.
And I was a sole proprietor at the time, but fortunately they gave me an opportunity to clean their theater even though I was a sole proprietor.
Right.
And we did a great job for them.
How long were you a sole proprietor?
About 6 years.
Really?
About 6 years.
Why did you make the change to become a corporation?
Well, there comes a point, just like in everyone's business, that there's a liability factor and there's also a benefit for being incorporated for taxes.
Really?
When you can save a little bit of money, you're not being taxed quite as heavily as an incorporated entity as a sole proprietor, and you can run things solely through the business. That's a benefit and an advantage, and it kind of takes a burden away for the liability aspect too.
Right. Did becoming incorporated help you land more commercial accounts?
Well, that's a work in progress because I've been incorporated since January of 2023, and because of that, I've been exposed now to businesses that can only deal with incorporated services. So if you're dealing with people who have a need to keep some things private, they want to make sure you're large enough to handle the non-disclosures that may come along with doing business with them.
And that brings us to our second Visioneer question. Yes, Visioneers, this is a horrible segue, but it relates to what we were just talking about. And this Visioneer question is brought to you by Mike Saba. Selling Bakersfield homes since 1992. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. Visioneer James asks, small and medium-sized businesses often prioritize confidentiality when researching potential vendors to collaborate with. What do you do to help them understand who you are and what your business stands for?
Well, one of the things is something like what you guys are offering today and providing a service for me today. The small business celebration gives me a great opportunity to sell myself and my business and let them know that I do larger accounts and do it inexpensively, do it professionally, and your crew has been so great. I was fortunate enough to meet Nicole at a BNI meeting last week, and her presentation to me at that time made me think, oh, this would be ideal, because she was spot on with how she approached me. And it also can expose my fellow BNI group members to your service. They'll have a great way to showcase what they do and how they can be involved in the community. And we have several businesses in our BNI group that will benefit from it. So I think what you guys do is fantastic, and it gives me a great way to showcase myself to other businesses that need my service.
Well, thank you. Well, and we're not the only ones. And there's a lot of other ways to get in front of these businesses, because confidentiality becomes a big deal, especially when you're dealing with companies that 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 employees, or they have a product or service that is not necessarily socially norm as well. How have you been able to get in front of these organizations, in front of these businesses, and still do it in such a way that they understand, yeah, you can keep your mouth shut?
Well, that's comes a little bit from my past experience, having been involved with the Department of Corrections. There's always a need for keeping things compartmentalized, and only expressing the information that's necessary. And in business, that happens too.
Right.
You want to hire people that know that understand that, so that your staff isn't putting themselves in jeopardy or putting that company in jeopardy by not being aware that there's a confidentiality that's involved with working there. And that's just, talking to people and learning about them and exposing them to that, because not everybody is aware of that until you tell them.
Right.
I mean, once you tell them and explain it to them and show them this is why you're doing what you're doing and why they have cameras everywhere, then they come to that realization too.
It's one thing as a business owner to build your business on word of mouth. It's another thing to start reaching these larger customers, these larger clients, where they have many steps and hoops to go through in order for you to even get looked at as a vendor for them. What have you done to be able to get in front of these kinds of businesses and these kinds of organizations when you're using simply a word of mouth system to grow your business?
Well, and that's why you don't limit it to only word of mouth, because when I became involved with growing, I realized I needed to be part of the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce always links you into the types of businesses that you describe. They want to make sure that you can be vetted and that you've been vetted somewhat and that you've had experience in that. And the Chamber exposes you to that because they get so many different people coming in and out.
Right.
And they'll ask the Chamber for recommendations. So we became a member of the Chamber in Santa Maria, outstanding Chamber, and the Chamber in San Luis Obispo, outstanding. And I've been a long-term member of the Chamber of Paso Robles, outstanding. And because Paso Robles is growing so much, and that the Paso Robles Chamber of Commerce does such a great job of promoting the businesses in our area, I intend to stay with them because I know they do a great job. Paso Robles Chamber of Commerce does a great job of helping me in my business as well.
One of the things you mentioned in the last segment was that you went to Cal Poly. You also played football?
I did.
What was your position?
I was a quarterback for many years and
Yeah.
then ended up playing wide receiver as well.
How did being a quarterback prepare you for owning a business?
I don't know if it did, but I'm sure it did.
Okay.
And part of it is relating to people. And a lot of times people think, oh, you know, it's about throwing or running or catching or whatever it is.
Right.
But you have to have a good relationship with the people that you perform with in a team environment. And a business is a team environment. A lot of businesses, they have a team environment.
Right.
How you treat your employees, what you learn about them, what their strong points are, what things they can work on to improve not only your business, but their performance as well. That's important. And I think some of the things that come out of athletics in general, not just football, but learning how to learn about what your shortcomings are and not shy from them, but work on improving them, comes from athletics, because you're not going to be perfect. You're going to do some things better than most and not as good as others. But as long as you're working and you've got a common goal, that's one reason why I was part of a championship team. I played on the 1980 national championship team, the only one they've had at Cal Poly.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that was because we had such great team chemistry and talent.
It's no secret that there's a lot of business owners who are struggling right now. What do you have to say to the business owners who are having a difficult time? And is the American dream dead?
No, the American dream is not dead, but it depends how you define it. And when you look at that, when I say that, I mean, everyone has their own definition of what that American dream looks like to them.
What's yours?
Mine is to provide for my family, be successful, and be able to pass down a legacy to my family of not my business, but how to do business. Because they don't have to do janitorial business, but they might want to do business in another aspect and know how to do that. So the American dream is the opportunity to be successful. And if you have the opportunity and you're not afraid to take the steps necessary to be successful, you have a shot. There's no guarantees, but you got a shot. Welcome to the real world. Nothing is going to be perfect, and overcoming adversity is part of being successful. Don't take yourself that seriously. It happens to everybody. You're not the only person that's going to run into problems. People are going to quit. Somebody's going to do something wrong, break something. That's why you got insurance. You're going to have days that don't go the way that you would like, but don't let that be the reason that you quit. Quitting is not an option. And if you know that, you'll hang in there and you'll have an exit strategy. You'll know if this is what you wanted to achieve and you've achieved that and you want to get out, this is the time. But you don't quit because there's adversity. Adversity is part of growth, and you're going to learn that as you go.
Lloyd, this has been a treat. Thank you for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
Thank you for having me.
And if Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
I have a website, www.topdownjanitorial.com. I have an email, info@topdownjanitorial.com.
Right.
And I have a phone number, 805-423-2531. You can call me, email me, go on the website, fill out an application if you're looking for employment. I'll get back to you.
And also, leave a comment. Say something nice to Lloyd. We'll make sure he gets all the comments. And if you enjoy Small Business Celebration, go ahead and like, subscribe, and notify. And I'll be right back with my thoughts. Visioneers, have you been to our smallbusinesscelebration.com/blog lately? No, I haven't. Well, you should. You can get all kinds of great information from our past guests on Small Business Celebration. So simply go to smallbusinesscelebration.com/blog and learn something you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. Simply go to smallbusinesscelebration.com/blog today. The thing that sets you apart. Recently, I was at a Chamber of Commerce networking mixer, and I was floating around the room, glad-handing and schmoozing, and congratulating Visioneers on their achievements and successes, when I came upon a Visioneer that I've known for quite some time. And under normal circumstances, he's like the Labrador Retriever when he comes into the room. His tail is wagging and he's happy to see everybody, and in return, everybody is happy to see him. But on this particular day, he was kind of off the side and he was feeling kind of dejected. And finding this surprising, I went over to him and I asked him what the problem was. And he started going on about how competitive his industry is and how he really wasn't making any headway anywhere. And he was feeling rather dejected. And I inadvertently pulled out my Small Business Celebration pen. And Visioneers, if you're an eagle eye, you've probably noticed that many of our guests fiddle with our official Small Business Celebration pen. And this particular Visioneer's eyes just lit up when he saw this pen. And he snatched it right out of my hand, much to my surprise. He said, "This is the coolest pen ever." And I went, "Well, there's a lot others just like it." He said, "No, you don't understand." He says, "When you turn it, it's got red ink and blue ink and black ink, and it's got a stylus on it. It matches your company colors. It's got your contact information. It's a great pen. This is brilliant." And I said, "Well, it's also one of those things that we do as a plus when a guest or a Visioneer is on the show or something, or somebody has done something nice to us, we give them a pen, something they can actually use." And his eyes got even wider and his mouth shut. He said, "That's the thing that sets you apart." Now, Visioneers, what's in a pen? Not much. I mean, we all use it to write with. Yes, it comes in different colors. But it's the idea of the pen. It's the idea that you are somebody special when you get one of these pens. You've done something nice, something helpful, something that is encouraging to somebody else. It's something that you do for somebody else that lifts them up and makes them feel better for themselves, and you doing something for them in the process. It's that little thing that sets you apart. I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week with Lloyd Nelson, the owner of Down Janitorial, and I hope you learned something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough.
I'll have to see that.
Yeah,
I can go back and look.
All right. The reason is I do dad jokes.
Bad dad jokes, I'm sure.
Bad.
Good.
Bad. Why was the janitor late for a job interview?
I have no idea.
He overswept.
Okay, that's bad.
What sound does a race car make when it's sponsored by a janitorial company?
What sound does it make?
Vroom, vroom.
Oh yes, those were bad dad jokes. Those are bad dad jokes.
Shall we start?
Yes.
Please. Welcome to another fantastic episode here on Small Business Celebration.